Hello, you're watching Smart Money, and today we're catching up with Magnus Heystek. He's director and investment strategist at Brenthurst Wealth, recently crowned the preferred boutique wealth manager in South Africa in the 2025 South African Investor and Banking Report. Magnus, right at the top, congratulations on that feat. And I've got to ask you, what does an accolade like this mean to you? Brenthurst being recognized in this way by South African investors.
You are, yes. Good morning. I mean, that's a fun. It's a fantastic feeling to describe. You know, you're out there speaking with clients and thousands of clients and your competitors in the marketplace, and somehow you do something right, and it comes back to you that your clients actually like you. So, you know, you just get goosebumps, and it was a fantastic feeling generally right throughout the company because we're very proud of that, and we feel very important how our clients feel about us, and so we felt great. Thank you so much.
Let's pinpoint exactly what they like about you. I mean, what would you say is Brenthurst's competitive advantage that sets it apart from its competitors?
Well, first of all, there are a lot of formidable competitors and very smart guys out there in the same space. Maybe coming from a journalistic background, we approached it slightly differently. Instead of coming to the investment world on a hard sell basis, historically, that was the way that you would grow your business. You would hard sell, cold call, and try and sell products. We approached it totally differently from day one. We said we're not going to be selling any products and commission driven business. We would like to create a solution business where we give solutions to the problems that our clients have. And our communication strategy was built around the various solutions that people require from a financial and a quasi-financial perspective throughout their life, whether it's retirement, changing jobs, inheriting money, death in the family. So we built on how best can we solve the solutions, and that seems to have worked very well.
Mm. Look, you are pretty vocal as well when it comes to matters impacting investment. I mean, you highlighted your journalistic background there. You don't shy away from industry commentary, no matter how controversial. So, why the outspoken approach?
Well, I think, again, coming from the background of a journalist, you tend to have an opinion. And we kind of, on certain topics, and there were many issues that and personally, I felt, coming from a journalistic background where I was asked to, trained to ask a lot of critical questions. I took that into the industry, and there were a lot of things wrong with the industry 20, 25 years ago when I started. It was mainly a commission-driven business, massive fees. The incentives were highly geared towards the marketer of financial products, and there was a joke in the industry that any profit that the investor made was totally incidental. So there was today, when the industry looks back at some of the practices, they were just horrendous, and that has been cleaned up. I must say, and we were one of the first to point out that some of the practices that were used by particularly the large life insurance companies were highly detrimental to investors, and we started pointing this out, and that kind of grew into other aspects about, especially when the onshore offshore debate started happening in South Africa. We saw that as a fantastic opportunity to expand our clients' global portfolios. A lot of sectors of our industry didn't like that. But now the games have changed, the rules have changed. Everybody invests offshore or onshore, doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. I mean, this is how investors, let's say, get to know the company and the kind of thinking influencing the kind of investment decision it makes as well. Where Brenthurst commits what I think you mentioned recently, 10% of its annual turnover to marketing spend. How are you then calculating the ROI on spend like that?
We have no idea. There's an old saying that, only half of marketing works. We just don't know which half. And we try things, we try seminars, we try web posts, we try a lot of things, and we kind of make a judgment this works and this doesn't work. Unfortunately for the traditional advertising media, that doesn't work anymore. So we had to be much smarter, and we had to try clever things, webinars, podcasts, for seminars. So we did a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk markets a bit now, Magnus. I mean, Bloomberg recently reported that South Africa experienced the longest streak of inflows into its equity markets in over 2 years. And where, Magnus, you are a strong proponent of investing offshore, does this start to pique your interest in local equities at all right now?
Oh, about a year ago, I was at a seminar, and I saw and I quoted the great Peter Lynch, who used to run funds 20, 30 years ago, and he beat the market for about 20 years straight. He always used to say in his one book, "Are things getting better, or are they getting worse?" And this applied to countries, economies, and in the case of South Africa, around about the time of the GNU last year, I started using the expression, things are getting better from a financial point of view, very slightly. We've hit the bottom in many cases in terms of valuations, and the bad news has been built into the pricing. So I'm very glad to say that there's been a very nice recovery in the local equity market. We're totally impartial where we make money for our clients. And the market has recovered. There's been a repricing of South African assets. And as long as the GNU holds and it continues slowly moving forward, I think that will continue.
Yeah, it is a very uncertain picture, right? Politically, economically, and not just domestically. We've got the ongoing global economic uncertainty prevailing as well. Has that triggered any shift in your approach to international markets now?
Now, that's a very interesting question. And of course, we know that for the last 15 years, it's been a USA story in terms of equity markets. If you missed that boat, you missed a lot of capital growth. There seems to be a movement out of the US market, moving into Europe and Japan and other places. So we're starting to find very good value, and we have done so for quite a long time. In fact, one can thank Warren Buffett for that. He, about 3 years ago, started saying, "Guys, you need to look at Japan." We started looking at Japan, and I actually went to Japan and met some top business people, fund managers, and I came back and I said, we must invest money in Japan. And it's been a phenomenal, phenomenal place to invest, but nobody talks about it. The same is happening in Europe now. Many, many European companies have been totally, totally underpriced, and there is a movement of money back into Europe. So it keeps us busy, Alicia, keeps us busy.
I can only imagine. What's the one thing amidst it all that you wish, Magnus, that South Africans understood about investing?
Well, investing is a long-term game. There's too much of a speculative gambling type of approach being promoted, on social media, buy today and sell tomorrow and buy this and buy that. That doesn't work over time. And I've never met a successful speculator in my life. I tried it myself. I thought I was smart, the bee's knees. I'm in the business. You just don't get it right. Stick to your long-term strategy. That's why at Brenthursts we spend a tremendous amount of time, first of all, trying to establish the risk profile of a client, tolerance to risk, psychological profile, and then from there on we build a portfolio. And our biggest job is to convince our clients to stick to the plan when there's short-term volatility in the markets. And today we've seen it again. The Trump tariff tantrum beginning of the year. People will say, "Oh, end of the world, the markets are going to crash," and boom, we're back where we are, and we made money during this volatile period. So we spend a lot of time educating our clients, because there's a lot of disinformation out there in social media. Various people are driving various agendas for whatever reason, and we have to answer a lot of those statements and just tell people, stick to the basics. And strangely enough, it's worked exceedingly well.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, Magnus, is there A sacred cow in South African financial thinking that you believe needs to be challenged?
I've always wondered about the very strange setup in the South African investment world when you are contributing towards a pension fund for 30 or 40 years, you are restricted in terms of where you can invest offshore, onshore, and various allocations. And the industry has always said it's to protect you against yourself or against market volatility. And that may or may not be the case. But when you retire from a retirement product and you can take your money out and reinvest it, there's absolutely no guidelines. You can do with the money what you like. So there's a little bit of a funny thinking around pre-retirement funding, post-retirement funding. And I think there should be a greater freedom and latitude for people while they're investing money for their retirement, which gives them greater freedom to invest in different asset classes, in different ratios. So I've just always wondered about that. Why is it when you get your money when you retire, that's when you should need guidance in terms of capital allocation and currency fluctuations and guarantees, but there's none. You can do what you like with the living annuity, and sometimes people do make very large mistakes.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, we're going to leave the conversation there for today, Magnus. Thanks so much for having joined us on Smart Money. Magnus Heystek is Director and Investment Strategist at Brenthurst Wealth.
Thank you very much, and have a good day.